Hi, welcome to Talking Tech. Today our topic is home automation. Don't forget to subscribe to us on iTunes, YouTube, and of course you can always find our videos on consumerreports.org. Today we are going to be talking to two of our home editors, Celia Cooper-Smith-Lerman and Bob Markovich.
Hey, Glenn.
Hello,
Glenn.
welcome to the show. You're currently working on a piece right now on home automation, the connected home, whatever you want to call it.
Right.
What are you guys finding? Why is this sort of growing now? What's behind it? What's driving it?
Well, I think a lot of what's driving it is just the explosion of products. You know, millions of them actually going to be introduced in the next few years. And also, it's not just the products themselves, it's who's introducing them. Mainstream brands are really getting into the fray. And they've got huge budgets that they're putting behind it in advertising.
Interesting. So, and presumably also the growth of the adoption of smartphones, right? That's. It seems to me that that the appeal of this is supposed to be that everybody's got their smartphone in their pocket already, right? So why not leverage that to add some intelligence, or at least borrow that intelligence and use it for the machines that you interact with every day? Yeah,
I think what they're trying to do is promise that, the promise is really that you're going to have control and you're going to have access, and you have it in the palm of your hands. So that way you can check things, you can know, you don't have to guess. You know, did I remember to turn off the lights or put on the security system before I left? You can just pick up your phone, open an app or two, and then find out for sure. And that's really a pretty compelling promise.
I think also what you've got is, and for better or worse, you've got a huge growth in multitasking. I mean, we all know about multitasking driving, and actually some of these things may in fact have to do with that, because they add to it. For instance, cooking while you drive, as if you aren't multitasking enough. But I think what you're really seeing is this growing interest in trying to do 5 things at once. Again, for better or ill. Something like a crock pot, the crock pot pusher is the crock pot cooker has around for a long time, but this is mechanical. It multitasks, but it's kind of built on that. You've got more and more.
So I'm curious to know about, the smartphone manufacturers are supposed to have nailed this idea of user interface, and it's simple, it's easy to use, it's intuitive, children can pick it up and figure it out. Is there something that appliance makers can learn from smartphone designers, or does it get clunky when you try and use a dishwasher on your cell phone, or program a dishwasher on your cell phone, or a thermostat on your cell phone?
Well, some of it I think works pretty well, and we haven't really found that the actual interfaces and the apps are pretty bad. What we're finding too is, that necessarily the products really aren't improvements on sort of the old Luddite versions of them.
So in other words, having it connected to your cell phone doesn't necessarily add any real value to the product.
No, not necessarily.
Interesting. So some of the biggest news in this area recently was Google, the big search engine giant, buying Nest Labs, the small little thermostat and smoke detector company, for $3.2 billion. Now, Google tracks you online and on your phone. Nest tracks your behavior in your home. Is this something that's sort of the start of something new and exciting, or the start of something really creepy?
Well, it really depends on what your viewpoint is. I mean, the idea that, and they've actually said that they're not going to track you, and there's not going to be this data feed on you that Google is going to have access to. But that doesn't mean just because Google doesn't have access to it that hackers can't have access to your information.
So am I supposed to be, so what is a hacker going to do? Turn up my heat until it's uncomfortable? What's the bad scenario here?
They can check and see that you're in vacation mode.
Interesting.
So then they all look, you're in vacation mode, and look at how long you're going to be in vacation mode, so they can know what your movements are.
And not only that, they could actually make the heat, turn up the heat, make it comfortable before they break into your house.
Absolutely. Well, they can also learn your routines even from your door locks. They can, even if in fact you're not on vacation, they can quickly learn that you're at work between the hours of 9 o'clock and 6 or whatever.
You're talking about the connected door locks now,
right?
So that's another that's another emergent trend, right? There are a lot of small startup companies making door locks, right?
Well, who wouldn't want to be able to say on the way to the airport, my God, did I shut the front door? Did I lock it? So that's so marvelous. It's really great, but of course a thief can hack into it. The other thing, unfortunately, and this was true of some of the surveys we took about people's reluctance to buy into some of this, was that they were afraid with their smartphone that they might accidentally unlock the door themselves. Which who hasn't accidentally done something on the cell phone that they didn't want to do?
So just to add a little sort of devil's advocate here, though, I mean, how isn't it harder to hack into a door lock than it is to throw a brick through a window? I mean, is just as a relative concern, should people be more or less concerned about digital locks?
I'm going to let you say something, and
Okay.
then we both have a few comments on that. I
Right.
think.
Well, I think you're right. That's not going to be the way most people get into your home, and that's actually one of the problems with even these connected door locks, is that they're pretty expensive, and most of them actually can be beaten by sort of brute force.
Yes.
You know, a well-placed kick is going to knock out the door lock.
And we've tested this,
We've
right?
tested
Yeah.
that. Or someone's got a small little portable drill and they
That's
can
exactly
come over and
right.
drill out the lock. And you know, some of this stuff is kind of just bad habits on the parts of door manufacturers, because they have a good lock, but they put in crappy parts to attach it to your door.
And the strongest lock in the world doesn't matter if the door is compromised, right?
Right.
No.
So you know, for lack of like a $10 strike plate and long screws, your $300 connected lock is pretty useless.
Yeah. The other thing too is that even conventional locks often suffer from the same situation. The good thing is that they're easy to upgrade and inexpensive to upgrade, so that's good news, with a better striker plate, longer screws, and at that point, you start to wonder if you can do without the convenience. Instead of paying $300, or I should say $200, you can pay more like $30 to $50 and get a conventional lock, and get a darn good one for a lot less money.
So, as you look through the sort of constellation of products out there that is becoming connected, you mentioned there's this just explosion of products, right? So there's connected refrigerators, connected washing machines,
Ranges.
a connected range that will tell you when your turkey is done when you're not there, right?
Or it'll at least get ready to cook that turkey. You can preheat it on the way home.
Okay, and hopefully not start a fire when you're
Hopefully
not,
not start a
in the home. And then, you know, I think you guys even found a connected toilet, is that right?
Yeah,
Yeah.
that someone hacked into. So I guess that's good for party jokes or something. You can turn it into a fountain, but
But what I'm going to get though is, at what point does this just become pure novelty? And where is the sort of the divide between the useful and the novel? And do you see that changing over time? I mean, will we not laugh at the idea of a connected toilet 5 years from now the way that it sort of naturally makes us laugh now?
I don't know, I think the connected toilet is always going to be a little like weird, and I don't know that we're ever going to do anything other than laugh at that. But some of these things like lighting, where you can have access to your lighting so that you can set it up to turn on before you get home. You know, is that so much more convenient than just a plain old timer? Well, yeah, kind of, because you can change it as your schedule changes. So there's a lot of flexibility there. And that's not that expensive a thing to do. And, you know, so there's some benefits. There are actually some benefits. But
so as the cost decreases, suddenly, you know, the convenience suddenly seems a lot more accessible, right?
Right, but I think you really need to, I mean, part of what we do that's different is we actually want to make sure that the product does its primary function well. Like we talked about some of the Nest products, like their CO, their Protect, their smoke alarm CO detector.
You know, the one that they say you can wave at and just stop it from making
Right,
a lot
which
of noise, right?
is really nice. Unfortunately, it lacks a key technology, so it's really not very good at detecting fast blazing fires. So it's nice that you can wave at it, but it would be better if it could detect the fast blazing fires well.
that's the amazing thing, actually, that practically all smoke detectors now are either one kind or another. They're ionization for fast flaming fires or photoelectric for the smoky fires, and very, very few contain both technologies in one unit, which to me in this day and age is rather crazy anyway. But if you're going to invest the money to really make a smart smoke detector and CO detector, you're putting the money into it anyway. Why don't you include both technologies?
Yeah, and it's worth mentioning that this particular smoke detector is what, $125? Is that right? $120?
Exactly.
One.
Yeah.
Each
And,
one.
and you need multiples on each floor.
So it's smart and also dumb at the same time. That's the interesting thing. You put the money behind it, why not go all the way?
But the way you guys see it, the possibility for this to become a valuable asset is there. It's just that you really have to sort of nail down the fundamentals before you can start layering on the nice bells and whistles, right?
Right, and I think
That's
also
true.
you need to sort of, you know, part of what's happening now is that the communication technologies, it's still sort of like the Wild West out there. So it's not like you have 1 or 2 apps and you can control everything. It's like everything has its own app.
Yeah, and in fact, there's even things like Zigbee, Z-Wave.
Right.
There's not even a lot of standardization in the industry, right?
And is it the next Betamax? I mean, that's what we raised in the article. You could invest in Zigbee or Z-Wave, and you put all your money into it, and all of a sudden, it's no longer.
So I guess we could sort of end with this idea that the industry could benefit from what, standardization probably, right?
That actually has been reported, and I think that's absolutely true. If you can standardize this and make one operating system, 1 or 2 that are pretty widespread, that are here to stay, that's really going to give a lot of people confidence, especially considering these things are, let's face it, they're expensive. I mean, you've got a couple of good things here. You've got Generac generators, which have rated highly in our ratings. And they have a mobile link app for $280 plus another $100 a year. But the good news is that the world is moving to whole house generators that can power the house, and they're not portable, they're powerful. And this can actually text you and a dealer if it stops working. Or if in fact the low oil...
that has real utility and safety,
That's fantastic, because you're away, you need that heat to continue so your pipes don't freeze. It'll alert not only you, but a servicing dealer, even if the low oil shut off, which a good generator should have. And if there's not enough oil in the engine, it's going to fry. So you need that. It should shut itself off, but it can tell you it has shut itself off, it needs oil. Perhaps, at least theoretically, a dealer can come and get it going again, even if you're in Hawaii. So that's a great thing.
And what's really great about it is that once you have your whole home generator up and running, you can power all the other gadgets that you need to,
even if
and charge that cell phone so that you can finally actually,
exactly.
turn your thermostat to where you wanted it.
One of the things we looked at too is I think it's called the Fortress. It's basically a wireless leak detector. So not only do you have a bunch of these sensors, it's $500, but you basically
you mean water for your plumbing,
exactly,
right?
And you put them at various places. And not only is it going to tell you, hey, you know what? There's a leak here that theoretically, at least potentially, could cause a major flood. It's also going to shut off the water while you're at work or in Hawaii. So that's pretty good.
Yeah. So that even though that's expensive, it's $500. It's very easy to have $500 worth of water damage.
I was going to say, not as expensive as a flood, yeah.
Or a new floor. Yeah. So there's some good stuff here and some promise.
Well, that's we'll obviously be tracking this, and you guys will specifically be tracking it for us. I appreciate you coming by the show, and we'll have you back soon.
Great.
Look forward
Thanks,
to
guys.
Thanks.
And thanks to all of you for joining us. Please be sure to send us your questions. We want to hear from you, and maybe the next episode we will plan around your interests. Also, make sure to subscribe to us on YouTube, on iTunes, and of course, come to us at consumerreports.org. Until next time, I'm Glenn Doreen.